Greetings, everyone. I'm Brigitte Mars, proud to be Rainbow's mom, and I'm here to share some wisdom on natural remedies for mental and emotional health. Now, all of this is from a class that I teach, and we're going to do a real compressed version tonight, but I wrote a book called The Home Reference to Holistic Health and Healing, and it's all about mental health. And I realized that we tend to have a concept in our culture that if people have physical conditions, they should go to one kind of doctor. And if they have things like depression or grief or anxiety or bipolar conditions, they go to a completely different kind of doctor. And yet, according to the principles of Asian medicine, herbs, essential oils, food, acupuncture, all of those things can be used to treat the body. And today we're going to see how the physical body can affect the mental body. And again, we're going to go through this pretty fast because I want to give time to, really help us to understand the oils even more. But I always feel that the whole lifestyle picture is so important. So when it comes to our nervous system, people always talk about the nervous system. According to Asian medicine, it's really our liver that governs the nervous system. Okay, so when people just say they are prone to seizures, migraine headaches, maybe feeling fatigued first thing in the morning, we really want to look at the health of our liver, because our liver helps to clean our blood and does like a zillion different things. So we realize that our mental health is due to every aspect of our well-being. So I just want to point out that nerve cells, which are part of the nervous system, they don't actually touch. They have little gaps that they have to jump between. Chemical messengers called neurotransmitters have to jump between these little gaps. And it's amazing. But if you think of our nervous system as being like an electrical conduit system that goes through our bodies, if any of you are into astrology, hold on, Bonnie's saying, Stephanie just sent you another link. Look on your email. Is that where it is? Okay. All right. So some of the main brain chemicals or neurotransmitters that we talk about are dopamine, which relates to
Okay, is my mom frozen?
I think so. No.
Which relates to the transmitter in the brain that creates relaxation. Endorphins. No, okay, we'll make sure she finishes it.
Okay, start video.
Oh, there you are, Mama.
All right. Yeah, you know what? I've realized that you have to pray to the gods of technology before you do any of these things.
Yeah.
And I actually hear there are angels of technology in the universe. So I'm really glad about that.
So let's continue at endorphin right there.
So endorphins are like our inner opiates. They help us to deal with pain. And when we do have a response to pain, we have more endorphins kick in. Oxytocin is another feel-good chemical that we get from things like affection, hugging, holding hands. And then serotonin helps us to be serene. So think of serotonin and serenity. And it also helps us to be hopeful. So thank goodness for all those neurotransmitters. One really big find in natural medicine right now is that a lot of the neurotransmitters are actually made in our gut. So rather than thinking like they're all made in the brain, they are really made in our gut. So if we have poor digestion, that could certainly be a factor in our whether we have good digestion or not. So I found that, okay, here we go. All right. So I wanted to go back here. So I won't dwell on this too much, but according to the principles of Asian medicine, different emotional states correspond to different organs. And you might have seen charts like this, but I'm just going to start here. Like the water element governs the kidneys and our bladder. And the emotions of fear and willpower are really said to come from our kidneys and bladder. So if someone is really fearful, they have a lot of paranoia, they might want to strengthen their kidneys and bladder. And we're going to learn more about how to do that. We could also look at the wood element, which is most prevalent in the springtime and is governed by the liver and the gallbladder. But you know what else is affected by the liver and gallbladder? The emotions of depression and anger come from the wood element, the liver and gallbladder. And you know what helps to cure anger and depression? Creativity. So if you working with someone or you yourself deal with a lot of depression, finding a creative outlet is so important. So the fire element is the governor of the heart and the small intestine. And the emotions here are joy and lack of joy. Not many people go to the therapist that have too much joy. However, we could say that bipolar conditions or insomnia or attention deficit disorder could really have their roots in an imbalance in the fire element. And then just a couple more elements, the earth element, which governs the stomach and spleen. I keep trying to get back on here. Start video. The stomach and spleen. The emotions for the earth element are obsessive compulsive disorder, but also sympathy and compassion. And then one last element, we'll talk about the metal element, which corresponds to autumn. The organ systems are the lungs, large intestines, and the emotions are grief and expression. So we want to keep in mind that an imbalance in the physical body can create an imbalance in the emotional body, but an imbalance in the emotional body can also create one in the physical body. So I keep trying to come back into visibility here. Takes a lot of tweaking. All right, but all right. So some of you who have worked with Rainbow before are really familiar in the belief that we both have in feng shui, which is the translation of wind and water, or the art of placement. And so I just want to point out the similarities. So if there's a part of your life that you are having a hard time with, whether it's career or abundance, or again, this is the fire element, you might want to learn a little bit more about feng shui as a way of organizing your reality, because this is medicine for your living space or your office. So we don't want to make this a class on feng shui. Rainbow has plenty of them, but I wanted to share the importance of full spectrum light. We do know that when people have deficiencies in their mental happiness, they very often suffer from seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. And many people go to work in the dark, they come home in the dark, they're under artificial light all day long. So I'm a big believer in getting outdoors in full spectrum light. It doesn't mean sunbathing, but to not be wearing your sunglasses or even your contacts for 20 minutes a day. Today I was standing outside in the street, and a really great immune thing, I think, is to get some full spectrum light in your throat. You know, just open your mouth and direct that antimicrobial powerful sunlight in your throat. So color is another way that we can activate our moods. And we sometimes talk about, you know, feeling blue, or, you know, red with anger, or green with envy. But I just want to say that in general, red, orange, and yellow are warming colors. They help to brighten our mood. I always think of green as being right there in the middle as far as healing and balance. It's neither hot nor cold. And then blue, indigo, and violet tend to correspond to our higher centers and can help in things like feeling more serene and better sleep. And you know, it's really interesting. Very often the colors of the herbs that give us the essential oils, or the colors of the food, often tell us what part of the body they correspond to. So I think I just want to say that, remember all the organ systems we were talking about, every one of the organ systems corresponds to a different flavor. So we're not going to talk about all of these, but I just want to say that one simple thing that a lot of us could do to improve our health is realize that liver time is between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. And even though some of us might be hardcore and can stay up all night and still make it to work at our yoga class at 6 in the morning, if we're always awake between 1 and 3 a.m., that is the time when there's more blood in the liver to really help to clean the blood and energize the liver. So, you know, in Asian medicine, they say an hour of sleep before midnight is worth 2 hours of sleep after midnight. And so if you're someone who suffers from depression or anger, you really might want to make a concerted effort to really be in a deep sleep at this time of night. So, all right. So, and of course, for those of us who feel overwhelmed, which is probably everybody right now, I do think that having a day tripper, you could call it a day planner, but I find that's a great way to organize your reality rather than feeling simply overwhelmed. All right, day tripper, we all know about that. I write everything down. If you think it, ink it. All right, yoga, of course, is going to be great. And so one of my favorite aromatherapy techniques that really helps me to stay sane despite having a super busy schedule, and granted, I do not have a bath attendant, nor do I wear a outfit when I bathe, but soaking in the warm water is such a great opportunity for soul rejuvenation. And you can add 7 to 10 drops of essential oil. It's always good to fill the tub first because essential oils are volatile. They evaporate very quickly. So you want to fill the tub first and then add your essential oils. And I'll just share that one really great one is lavender. You know, if you have one essential oil in your collection, I hope you have a lot more than that. Lavender is going to have antimicrobial properties. It's wonderful for relaxing the mind, relaxing the muscles. And let's say you're in a really difficult, grief-stricken state, or you have a lot of emotions going on. An amazing therapy is to soak in the tub and let this be a place where you maybe cry or breathe or just make a lot of sound. And then when you're done bathing, let the water out and just visualize all your sorrow and your grief going down the drain and being healed by the Earth Mother. I usually like to give my water back to the plants, but I feel if it's really charged with a lot of emotions, then maybe we're just going to let it go down to the earth. These are some of the foods that are great for the brain. It's interesting how many of them actually look a bit like a brain. You know, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. They're all in the same family. They're all in the Brassicaceae family or the cruciferous family. Blueberries are excellent for peripheral circulation. They're also good for our eyes. Of course, walnuts look a lot like the brain. So I really think that there are many, many people who have mental disorders and who are being medicated, if not hospitalized. And yet the problem might be is that they are eating foods they're allergic to. They have trauma, and which of us don't have trauma? It may be that they have certain needs for neurotransmitters that aren't being met. You know, maybe they need more of certain vitamins or minerals or amino acids. It's also possible that addiction is getting in the way. But I really just want to go over some of these elements briefly and give you some ideas on how we can help. So we talked about the springtime, the wood element corresponds to the emotions of anger and depression. And I do not think that enough doctors, when someone says, I'm so depressed, the doctor says, how's your liver? Are you taking any drugs that are hard on your liver? We know that the liver loves the sour flavor. So drinking lemon and water or putting a drop of doTERRA lemon essential oil in your water is a great thing we could do to help our livers. It's amazing what makes us depressed: fried foods, chips. I even think that we could be affected by eating animals that are raised in a really inhumane way where they're, they have horrible, fearful, depressed, awful lives? Could we perhaps be imbibing the energy and the fear and the depression that they have? So the liver loves sour. So springtime, time to eat your berries. And the liver loves creativity. One of my teachers would always say, art is toxic discharge. All right. So, eat your greens. The liver loves it when we eat greens. That's so important. It's so easy to do. Ideally, one meal a day should be green leafy vegetables. And some of the herbs I think of, St. John's wort could be used internally. But another herb, St. John's wort, lavender is one of my favorite antidepressants. And all you need to do is open a bottle and take 5 deep inhalations on both sides to activate both hemispheres of your brain. And it's an instant remedy for giving you a relief from altitude, from something going on with your mental well-being, and you don't have to ingest anything. And a bottle of lavender oil, if all you're doing is smelling it, it's going to last a long time. But again, use it in the bath, use it in massage, use it in a diffuser. And lavender is antimicrobial, so what a great reason to be diffusing this a lot right now. During the times of I don't want to talk so much about the immune system, but during the bubonic plague, a lot of the cities in Europe, like Grasse in France, where they grew the flowers for the perfume industry, the plague did not come there. So we may not have like this field outdoors, but we could certainly diffuse the properties. Okay, so the fire element, I want to say a few things about anxiety. And we often find that when people have anxiety, they often have low blood sugar. They may, even be reacting to things like really fast music. They might not be able to sit still and focus. So I think of things like, candle meditation, slowing down your speech, slowing down your talking. This is a picture of a kava kava ceremony. And, kava kava is one of the great herbs for anxiety. I also think of valerian, but, really smelling any essential oil. Again, we could use lavender. We could use vetiver, which is a very grounding essential oil. The important thing is that you find an oil that's a partner with you, and that you have some oils everywhere so that you can smell them when you need them. But again, I'm always a big believer in saying, 3 essential oils you want to have with you all the time: peppermint, lemon, and tea tree oil. You can do just about anything with them. But I did want to mention that doTERRA has a blend called Balance, which is a combination of essential oils that's really good for, helping you to feel grounded again. And it just has so many, combinations: chamomile and pine and bergamot. And it's just, what a beautiful combination here. Cinnamon. All right. So the, chanting mantras or oming can be really helpful for calming anxiety. So if someone has anxiety, they might want to think about taking a calcium magnesium supplement, a fish oil supplement, if they eat fish. If not, there's some vegan alternatives made from freshwater algae. We might want to back off of things like sugar and caffeine, which will promote more anxiety. I also want to mention that most of us that have some sort of mental concern might benefit from a supplement called GTF chromium. And GTF chromium stands for glucose tolerance factor, and it's really good for keeping our blood sugar levels stable. So here we are at the earth element. The earth element is about nurturing. Remember, we said it was the peacemaker, the harmonizer. Mothers who are have a strong earth element, or fathers, they're always wanting to nurture and care for you and listen to your problems. However, these people might also tend to carry on other people's problems a lot, and maybe have an obsession with sweets. So the sweet flavor nourishes the stomach and spleen. So a really great essential oil to help people that are constantly craving sweets or having eating disorders would be cinnamon. You know, and it has that orange color of the earth element. And as a writer, you know, writers are notorious substance abusers. And I'd like to think that I'm an exception to the rule, because above my desk, I have a plethora of essential oils. And rather than thinking, oh, I need to go get more mate, which I might do, but not every time I think it, it might be like, I'm just going to smell some cinnamon or some fennel or anise and satisfy the receptor sites where I desire sweets. And of course, we could eat, you know, more of these things that are in season right now, winter squash and sweet potatoes. I've been telling people who are concerned about their immunity, you know, have a baked sweet potato or a baked purple sweet potato with raw garlic on it. You can put olive oil on it. And just one other thing for those of you who have a business, the smell of cinnamon gets people to linger longer. So if you have a store and you want people to come into your yoga studio and hang out there or buy books or, you know, hang out in your place, if it smells cinnamon, that's going to be a real attractor, because the smell is one of the first responses that helps us to make a decision whether we like something or not. All right, let's see here. We're going to do this again. Okay, so a few more. The metal element corresponds to our lungs, our large intestines, and our skin. So if we're having trouble with our skin, it may be that our lungs and our large intestines really have something to work through. And the flavor here is pungent, and the emotions are grief and expression. So I've always thought it a bit curious that when someone has a lot of grief, you know, maybe there's been a death or a breakup, like you know, people send flowers, well, maybe for a death. And then a week later, you have like 50 bouquets of dead flowers and all these vases that you have nowhere to put them. And I just want to remind you all that the smell or fragrance here that's going to help to dispel grief is pungent or spicy. And so using essential oils, which you can diffuse, which you can smell, which you can use in the bath or massage, would be things that are spicy, like oregano or thyme or coriander, a lot of the things that we might use as a culinary spice. And I've always felt, you know, lavender seems to be good for everything, but I've often thought that when someone dies, I'm going to give them a little bottle of lavender oil and maybe a rose quartz heart that they can have, and maybe some rescue remedy. Another herb which we can eat the greens of as well as eat the flowers is violet. It's a close relative of pansies, and pansies are edible, and they call pansies heart's ease. It's a wonderful way to assuage grief. But I will share that making an essential oil of violet does not seem that feasible, so don't expect to see one anytime soon. Bleeding heart is a flower essence for grief, so I often include that in a grief kit. But think of essential oils that are pungent and spicy in their flavor to smell. It's almost like the spiciness helps us to express our grief. And it is interesting, you know, if we're really sad and we eat raw onions or raw garlic, and it can actually help bring on the tears. Okay, just one more element. The water element corresponds to the kidneys and the emotions of fear and willpower. So if we find ourselves, you know, really being afraid of everything, there's maybe a lot of things to be afraid of, we really want to think about strengthening our kidneys. And a great way to do that is by eating more black colored foods. So black colored foods are going to give our kidneys minerals. So black rice and black beans and black quinoa, which is one of my favorite things, like that. And, you know, I always feel that if you want to strengthen a part of your body, connecting with it rather than letting all your remedies go in your mouth. So putting a few drops of like juniper essential oil on the palms of your hand, and then rubbing up and down over your lower back 36 times in the Taoist tradition. It's really nice to thank the part of your body that's really saying, you know, help me out here. And another thing we could do is try to get some sunlight on your kidneys and adrenals when you can get a little sunlight. You know, I see a lot of people walking around with, you know, masks all the time. And I just want to say that, of course, you can put essential oils on your mask, but I also think that getting some sunlight and some fresh air is really, really imperative. But a lot of people are wearing the masks around their neck, and yet we have a nation of people that have low thyroid. And so our thyroid really responds well to light. So for those of you who've been told you have low thyroid function, you might want to think about putting a little frankincense oil on your thyroid when you are out in the sun. You know, just because medicine says there's not a cure for anything, I just want to remind you that all the essential oils are antimicrobial. There they are. There's been a lot of reports coming out, you know, about how even mouthwash has antimicrobial properties. So I feel like, you know, use some essential oils as a mouth rinse in your water pick. Use them to diffuse in the room, you know. Don't kid around. It's a time really to take action and to be vigilant. And I know we can do this. And I know Rainbow and Stephanie are going to share some things, and I'll chime back in. I think I shared enough about some mental health things. These were some other great herbs. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, and so it's so important for us to be able to take this deep dive into really healing the dis-ease of mental health, which is really rampant, I think, in us and everyone else. So how do we shift that within ourselves and support others? Not only are the oils antimicrobial, they're also antiviral and antibacterial because they permeate the cell wall. I love it, Mom, when you talk about why is that? It's the immunity, it's the terpenes of the plants that they protect themselves. Will you explain it? You explained that before so beautifully.
Well, the essential oils of the plants are actually part of the plant's immune system.
Mm-hmm.
So if a leaf gets broken, you know, the fact that the plant has essential oils in it is going to help the plant from not getting invaded by fungi and bacteria and microorganisms. So, you know, you might say that they're really the soul of the plant. And in the ancient world, you know, using a lot of these essential oils in the form of the culinary spices, cinnamon, ginger, you know, turmeric, orange peel, they would actually help to preserve the food. That's how antimicrobial they are.
Mm. So I want to allow everyone, especially for those of you that I might have muted you. So chat if I have, because there was some background noise when we were recording. We are still recording. However, so you're welcome to ask questions on a chat. I also want to invite you to put down your email address. Any guests, anyone whose name we don't know, put down your email address so that we can actually, you know, stay in touch. But also, we're going to do a free giveaway today, which I wanted to give away a couple things, and I should have announced it before. But right before this class is over, we're going to ask a couple questions, things that could be used for mental health alleviation or elevation. So stay tuned for that giveaway. And really quick before that, so what we want to talk about is why we talk about doTERRA is simply that it's really the only one that is standard CPTG, certified pure therapeutic grade. That's because it goes through 7 levels of water distillation. So there's nothing that's hard on the liver or hard on the kidneys, which some oils do because they can be, like frankincense can actually be very resinous. And so when, for instance, the founder, his daughter actually was having seizures and had a mental health issue in insecurity about having seizures. So they wanted to make sure they had a food grade frankincense. And so going through the 7 levels of water distillation, along with third-party testing, so it's truly guaranteed to be food grade, we get to experiment and support our health from the inside out and overcome all sorts of things. So one of the things my mom mentioned was herbs. She mentioned dandelion. She mentioned milk thistle. Was milk thistle mentioned? I don't think so. But tell us about milk thistle and dandelion specifically for the liver.
Okay, well, dandelion, I think that we really need to wake up that dandelion is probably one of the most useful plants on the face of the earth. How we ever started spraying this plant, I think that's a nefarious scheme brought to you by the evil empire. Don't believe it. Dandelions survive everything. We need to find ways to adapt. And the dandelion survives pollution and traffic and drought and being stepped on. And so we need to be like a dandelion if we want to acclimate into this, world that, is full of things like cell phone towers and chemtrails, because we need to adapt. It's not going to go away. Let's embrace this technology. Dandelion's root can be made into a tea, and it helps to clean old stored emotions out of the liver. So that's a great advantage.
Milk,
Of course, I'm sorry, Rainbow.
milk thistle. I love. We could go on, but look at.
And milk thistle seed, this is something you might want to put in your a pepper grinder and grind it on your food. It stimulates protein synthesis in the liver. So it actually helps to rebuild a liver that's maybe been damaged by years of abuse from taking pharmaceuticals or using alcohol. And so, most of us, by the time, we've been on this planet a few decades, could use a little help in helping our livers to rebuild. And we only have one liver. It's a very forgiving organ if we take care of it with sour foods, eating lots of greens, include dandelion root, burdock root, dandelion leaves, remember, and a little bit of the sour flavor. And so we have an epidemic of people being treated for depression. And I don't think enough doctors are saying, what's going on with your liver? Do you eat fried foods? A really great thing we could do for our livers is to start making your own salad dressing with extra virgin olive oil rather than using heavily heated oils like soy and canola and corn oil. So just that simple change right there can help lift the fog. I really think that poor quality oils leave us feeling foggy, soggy, and groggy.
Amazing. Okay, so to win these giveaways, here's the things I'm giving away. And even if you're on our team, you can win this. We've got a bottle of On Guard Concentrate Cleaner. This helps elevate our mood as we clean, chemical free. And I'm gonna give somebody here a lucky aroma touch technique, which is so powerful for our breathing, for our spine. This has everything. This has balance in it: lavender, melaleuca, On Guard, aroma touch, deep blue, wild orange, and peppermint. So these up through the 5 zones of our body can create a complete state of relaxation. Now, again, we're working with food grade oils. So about 80% of these you could take internally. There's a couple that you cannot. In order to win any of these, we need to make sure we have your email address. And then I'm gonna ask a couple of questions. And then I'm also gonna give away just a couple of single bottle samples. One is Copaiba, which we didn't talk about, do you like to talk about Copaiba? Because that's my favorite oil for anxiety. Well, Copaiba vetiver.
You talk about it. I have used it, but you've used it more. So go ahead.
Well, Copaiba, it's a 100-foot tree from South America. It basically performs better than CBD as far as it expands the brain, and it affects the neuroreceptors that creates a quality of relaxation, the endocannabinoids, and it also helps with pain alleviation. So you think about a 100-foot tree from the Amazon that's way above, that just type of quality of a specimen. And what it does is it grounds us. Your roots have to go into the ground. It also has a lot of qualities like frankincense, cellular regeneration. And the thing that we're recommending tonight, which is the kit, because we want to have you take frankincense internally. We want you to have the 98 minerals, a daily dosage of dandelion, milk thistle, all of those things. So you're getting the 13 servings of fruits and vegetables. Stephanie will show you what that looks like in the cart, as well as a couple other things, just having these intros if you're not able to make one of these giveaways. But if everyone plays, you could maybe get something. And I don't see everyone's email address there that we don't know yet. So please fill for your email address. And then we're going to ask a couple of questions, just a recap of the PowerPoint if you remembered. Hi, and so I also have lavender here. So we're going to give a lavender oil. We talked about lavender, 187 adaptogens. And the reason why this is so powerful that this is food grade is you can take a drop internally. You can put it in your scones or your tea and experience truly the benefits of lavender. If this had fillers, solvents, or other things, we can question if it's even therapeutic. Do you want to put it on your skin? Do you want to bathe in it? Do you want to put your head under if it's toxic, if it's synthetic, if it's cheap? So we want to try these oils. And then I hope you can see it. And then finally, peppermint, which obviously you mentioned peppermint, but do you want to expand anything? It's
Sure.
very elevating, cooling. Go on.
Well, peppermint is a really great essential oil for increasing your energy level. And studies show that when they beam peppermint essential oil into the workplace after the lunch break, there's more worker productivity. So think of peppermint oil as just being a great way to energize yourself, clear the energy. It's also antimicrobial. It's also very cooling. If any of you know someone who suffers from hot flashes, put maybe 10 drops of peppermint oil in a little spray bottle, fill it with spring water. And then if you are dealing with a hot flash, you can simply mist your face, your neck, your wrists, your forehead, and you are gonna feel chill in just a moment. But again, peppermint, all of these essentials help to clear the energy. And I know a lot of people like to smudge and use smoke, but that could set off the smoke alarm, and smoke can be an irritant to the lungs. So remember that the word perfume means to purify through smoke, but now we can purify with essential oils. And I think the time right now is to really learn about these herbal allies that we have, because they're so concentrated. And I feel that on days when I have a lot of exposure, because I work in a holistic pharmacy, I'm going to take a drop of On Guard, or I'm going to take an On Guard capsule. You can put it on your feet. Again, On Guard in the water pick, a drop on your toothbrush or a mouth rinse, because On Guard is really one of the great antiviral issues. And I think we're all dealing with a lot of emotional stuff right now. So what a blessing that we have these allies that can, just fit in our purse or backpack or desk, and, always be with us, and that we can offer a few drops to someone else who needs some comfort, because that's what we got going on.
Okay, so before I ask these questions, and you mentioned On Guard, so I was just smelling this all-purpose cleaner, which you talk about like cleaning, and then we're using chemicals. Of course, that's not going to feel good, as opposed to these wonderful essential oil-based cleaning products that you spray, you put a little bit in like a spray bottle, a bigger, like your cleaning bottle, and then you fill it with water. You spray your house with it. It actually kills bacteria better than bleach. Like we've seen, there's studies of this stuff. So it's just so wonderful to have these plants. These are the questions that we're going to ask, so you can each win something. First, we'll start with an easy one. First of all, tell us I'm going to just make sure everyone's unmuted.
But while they think of that, I'm going to let you think of a question. I want to say a few things to help sleep. Okay. Because sleep.
But no, that's another topic, Mom. It's
okay.
Overwhelming. I love you. There's so much. And who learned anything today yet? Who has some information? I mean, okay, so how do I make sure that you guys all are unmuted? So I'm going to ask, you're welcome to just mute yourself again, especially if you have a lot of, background noise. But my first question is going to be, tell us, why essential oils? Like, what's cool about them? Go ahead, first person.
Okay, the soul of the plant.
Who was that? Was that two people at once? Was that Bonnie?
Bonnie.
And did
I
someone
think
else?
someone else was trying to say something too.
What did you say? That's why essential oils are cool. What'd you say?
Oh, I said the soul of the plant. That just resonated with me.
I love it. I think that's worth a Copaiba for sure. Do you have Copaiba yet?
You
You do? Well, Copaiba is so in high demand that they'll only let you buy one a month, because, when we realized how it's better than CBD, it actually, it flies off the shelf, literally. So another thing, so what you want to do with Copaiba is take a couple of drops, like a few times a day. So we call it liquid Zen. So as far as this is not something that you just want to smell or put in your bath, you want to utilize it. Okay, next question is, we could change it around. I'll call you later. We'll do another oil if you want to try something else. I want to know for the cleaning product, we want to know what is what is the map that can be used to help clean your home so that it becomes more harmonious with your being? What's the name of it?
the grid that they use in feng shui?
Anyone? Anyone? Everyone's willing to play. Who knows the name of it? Go. Okay, I'm gonna just set that aside. If you know the name of it,
Oh,
is everyone waiting for the aroma touch? I'm gonna give someone the aroma touch. Let's see. It's gonna be a complicated question though. For the peppermint, I wanna know 3 ways you could use peppermint.
Diffuse it, topical, and you can put it in make a tea.
Well, I really appreciate you playing, so I'll give you that. But honestly, can you add 3 things that it would be good for?
Well, good for opening the airways, good for digestions. It's also good for lighten up liver, lighten up cooling for menopause, hot flashes.
I think that you've won an oil. How exciting for you. I love it. We can always change one out if that's one that you already have, but we always can use more peppermint. It's so good for headaches, as well as those things that you mentioned, and so much more. Does anyone know the name of there's an extra bonus question because it was not mentioned yet, but who knows the name of a good app that you can use at home for your daily wellness needs? Who knows the name?
I forget.
Anyone? You guys have to be. Anyone know the name of an app that you have downloaded that you refer to? So whenever you have a headache or you're feeling stressed or anxious or maybe kind of nervous, you can use one of these plants to help ground you. The name of an app. It's really.
Brigitte Mars' first aid book.
Oh, who is it?
Brigitte Mars' first aid book is the best.
Okay, well, let's get do we have your email address? Is this
Douglas.
Gardner?
Yeah.
C'est moi, c'est moi.
We're going to give you that. Although I was thinking Modern Essentials app or Essential Life app. Refer that, download it on your phone, and you can refer to what is it that you need for your daily use. Will you make sure that we have your email address, Stephanie, and so that we can get your address. And then finally, ding, 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 for the trip of the lifetime, down deep relaxation mode, you are welcome to share this, but there's a whole way to use these in this practice called Aroma Touch. And gosh, my computer is really glitching out. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so I want you to name 10 ways that you can help your body heal from mental health, depression, or anxiety. I want us to just go back and tell us 10 ways that you can today start to change that pattern. Who wants to go? Ways. You're welcome to, even if you work with us, you're welcome to go for it. Whoever's the best student wins. It's like, that's the golden rule.
I'll try. So sun on your thyroid, exercise, inhale lavender oil, eat black foods to get rid of fear, dandelion, milk thistle to clean out your liver and anger. I forget, that's 7. Can I name any other things, or is it everything like yoga, 20 minutes of exercise, and copaiba, taking copaiba oil every day?
I love that. I kind of want to hear, but can you name one more oil use?
One more oil that we talked about today.
Yes.
Balance, to put balance on the soles of your feet. Put balance. Okay. I really wanted that. So.
Everything that you do. This is why I got into these oils. Because I grew up with essential oils. For those of you that don't know, my godmother is Dr. Light Miller of aromatherapy in the family, as well as Ayurveda in the family. So I was always using oils, but they're not all created the same. I love oils, and these oils are really super, super clean, so we can use them in higher doses safely. And they're kind of life-changing. So I share this with today because they really work, and we can share with you all of the information all day long, but the life change happens when we are consuming or utilizing the literal intelligence that Mother Nature has. So they don't work if you don't have them, and we have to be able to use them, put them into action like every 20 minutes, really, maybe at least every hour. So excuse the outfit, you know, it's a little cold in my house, and I love that I just get to be comfortable and cozy. And, you know, that's part of, I think, one of the things that I understand about mental health. It's being able to honor the contraction time of our lives and not always feeling like we have to be or share or give too much, because I've been giving and sharing a lot. So it's actually really healing for me just to be present and be cozy and giving myself a hug and to be grateful for these medicines. And I invite you to give yourself a hug. Oh, and the kit that we added, it has the lifelong vitality nutrients, and those have the 98 minerals, as I mentioned. And she mentioned you need calcium and magnesium for some of the things. Fish oil, we have a vegan version and a not version. And so that kit put in action, once you get a kit, you can do a one-on-one with any of our team members. And you also get to join like our other programs. We have ongoing programs where we bring in incredible healers to help support our transformation. So I invite you in actually getting a kit. Congratulations to the winners of our incredible, fun giveaway. And is there any other questions before I stop recording? Because we'd love to, any questions are good questions. And do we have your email address? And is there anything else? Thank you, Brigitte Mars. Thank you, everyone else here.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this recorded? Because I jumped in about 15 minutes late.
Do you want me to stop recording? Because it is.
It is recorded? No,
It is.
I want to know if there's a way for me to reference it back, if I can replay it later.
Most of the time, sometimes there's glitches in our universe, so we can't guarantee it for sure, but we usually have an archive of what we are sharing, because yes.
Fantastic. Okay, beautiful. Thanks. Thank you, guys. You guys are amazing.
Blessings.
It's so good to see you here, Melissa. Is there any other questions about mental health, depression, anxiety, ways that you can support your lifestyle to increase the opposite of that, which would be joy, calmness, and peace, really? Yeah?
I have a question. When you start using the oils a lot, especially if you're dealing with things like grief and stuff like that, do you find like sometimes it brings it right up to the, like they open up a floodgate of stuff when you start to really invite them in? Has anyone had that experience?
I'll answer first, and then I'd love for you to answer, Mom. But I feel like it's really detrimental when we start to stuff down emotions and block. And I think it can actually be what really congests our liver. As someone who's definitely into the emotional arts, like that's something I've done my whole life, I know the benefit of letting that go and allowing yourself time to really feel and to cry when necessary. I for sure think that these frequencies, just like flower essences, when we're using them, of course, they're going to help move energy. So you would, if it's there to be moved, we want it to move. So that's why taking a bath, allowing time to write about things that help us feel is very healing. We believe that all disease starts in, well, from a spiritual perspective, it starts in the spiritual, ends up emotional, mental, and then physical. So this whole floodgate of how we get disconnected is what we're looking to, you know, unravel and refine. And that's why these energies help to do that. They make us more harmonious. So in that process, whatever is in our way is our way, and it will probably come out. Hopefully we keep bringing them to the altar, light a fire. You don't want to go down into that, because that's a whole, I think, trick of mental illness, of like the way that it catches us. And I feel that we need to trust the process of it moving through us, but also visualize like the happy Buddha or Christ, you know, some divine being in the heart, so that we just keep coming back. You don't want to, because we can either cry from the being or we could cry from our ego. So it's important. That's why the plants are really helpful. So it's not like, oh, it's awful, like, you know, here's whatever, some type of a drama. It's more like, okay, I'm feeling this is good, but I'm moving through it. And use your oils like your best friend. I mean, we didn't mention rose here. There's pretty much, I love one of my mom's sayings that says, the best thing you can do is something that you can do right now. Like lavender could be great, vetiver could be great. Of course, rose is expensive. It's $300, but it's a little bit goes a long way. 3 drops of that, you know, in the bath, covering your heart and just holding yourself with that high vibration, and you let go. Yeah, I guess.
What about Rose Touch? Because I have that because that was on sale or whatever last month, and I've been using that. But I mean, is that something when you what's the frequency? Like something like that, you say every couple hours, or or using it once or twice a day? Is that when it's a touch?
Aroma Touch, you said?
What's that?
Which one of the Rose Touch? Sure.
Rose Touch I have. So like, is that something you'd want to use more than once a day or twice a day? Really kind of
every 20 minutes. They're so short that they go away really quick. I mean, with that, it's diluted in coconut oil. And so it's almost better to use it diluted because you can put it in the hands and the feet. You just can't put it in your bath. You couldn't diffuse it. You couldn't put like a drop in your mouth, even though it says not a supplement, or on your heart. I just find that one, they say that rose is as effective as like oregano. Like it's one of those heavy hitter performers. And I believe it's because love heals all. It's like if you have that frequency of love, it comes in like it's oregano. So therefore, get your bottles of rose. I've got a bunch over.
Actually, I didn't mean to say touch. I meant rollerball.
Oh, well, either one.
That's what I got. Yeah, that's what I've been, and I've been doing some heavy hitters. So the question really is like, when you do some heavy hitters, I guess you're gonna, if you have work to do, I guess get ready to do the work or get ready to be with yourself and, just open up to what comes. And then yes, the oils are like a best friend. I've been using them a lot, and it's been a journey because I've really been, I've been using them a lot.
Yay. Yeah, they're
Thank you.
They're so powerful, and you nailed it. That they really do work. They're working emotionally, mentally, physically, energetically. So, if nothing shifts, then for sure ask us questions like why not? Because mostly what we see is testimonial after testimonial and life change after life change. So they only work when we use them, and we have to keep changing, right? If we bring what we've been into our future, where does that leave us? So like we got to get that out somehow, as long as we know where we're going. So let's all see ourselves, visualize. Let's just take like a moment to take a breath. Let's just take this information into our hearts, be grateful for this blessing to come together through the technology of Zoom. Thank you for all the support and all the modalities where we stay connected. And let's just say like a blessing that we feel at peace with our breath and at ease in our minds and open in our hearts. So we thank you so much for your presence and your openness, and we really invite you to try and experience this transformation alongside us so that we can keep growing together. Thank you all. Blessings and good night.
Blessings. Thank you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.